I'm starting to think the Straw Hat's a little bit played out. What do you guys think? Okay, Oda. You absolute madman. I swear to God, One Piece keeps getting better each week. And I have a lot to talk about with this chapter because Oda gave us a lot, right? So, before we jump straight into the chapter, let's talk about the two cover pages today. So, we had more stuff for the film Red promotion, which I just found out that it's confirmed that it's coming in the fall of this year to the United States. And other countries are getting it way before us, which is not a problem. I don't mind waiting. I want to actually have a decent amount of followers when One Piece review comes out, so I can actually get people to watch the videos and stuff like that. So I am thankful to you guys that are sticking here in the beginning. But, you know, let's see if we can try to get a few more people here. So make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and also make sure you share this video as well as click that notification bell. I know I never thought I'd be one of those people actually saying that, but that's neither here nor there, right? But like I said, Uta is in the cover story again from last week. We, I believe last week, people were calling out to her for help, and I gave her inspiration to, write a song, and then this week she having a dream. I believe the silhouettes of our Shanks, and she reflecting on it. You can see Shanks and her, and then Lucky Roo in the background, and then she takes a piece of crumpled paper up and she starts writing a song based off of that. Now I don't know what any of that means. I don't want to do too much speculation because me personally, I don't even feel like Uta is canon, let alone Shanks' biological daughter. It could play off that way, but just the way themes of One Piece go, my personal theory is that Shanks is her adopted father, right? But that's more of speculation towards the movie, which I'll probably make a separate video on that, right? Then the second cover story that we get this week is Katakuri and Oven fighting the Germa siblings. Now, this is really cool because we haven't gotten any Katakuri in a long time, and I know for a fact that Oda knows that Katakuri is by far one of the most fan favorite characters, and I feel like he's been using him sparingly, but it's good to see that Katakuri is up and in action and whatnot, other than, you know, him just being defeated and still bandaged. You don't even see any bandages on him and stuff like that, which is good because it means that he recovers relatively as fast as Luffy. So we'll probably get more Katakuri in the future. Who knows? Now that Big Mom's defeated, we don't know how he's gonna react to this information, but we're definitely gonna get more Katakuri in the future. I can't imagine that Oda just yeah, I'm gonna create this really amazing character and then just put him out the story for the rest of the series. Especially when we find out other recurring characters are coming back at the end of this chapter. No, trust me, he's not gonna keep Katakuri out of the story for long, right? But after that, right, let's jump straight into the chapter, right? So the Scabbards are recovering from the fight, and Kinemon shows up, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, that was a Curry." Honestly, I low-key didn't even notice that he wasn't there during the fight. And so he basically said that he was in Curry, and we see Shinobu and Raizo, they're seriously drained. It's weird too because we follow up with Shinobu later in the chapter, but we don't follow up with Raizo. So I wonder if Oda's gonna be saving that gag, because there's a theory going around, slight theory, but I wonder if Oda's gonna do Raizo right before Wano ends, right? And we learned that Okabore town was completely burned down, and that Otsuru had a small burn on her face or whatever. I'm not sure how that's relevant. I feel like that's just Oda expo dumping, but we do get to see a little bit more of their relationship, that you know, they still are deeply in love with each other. And we get this moment where Raizo's "I wish I was popular." And yo, bro, you're about to die. Focus on yourself first, king. Right? That, you know, just typical of man. We just out here dying of thirst, and we still got women on our mind or whatever. But that's neither here nor there, right? Nothing really important happens at the beginning, at least in that part. I don't feel like I need to go any further with it. This next part of the chapter, though, definitely has my heart hurting, where we finally get the confirmation that Carrot's not joining the crew. I'm not even thinking of any speculation or oh, maybe this is a red herring. No, this is 100% confirmation. Carrot is not joining the crew, which is why I've got her in the background looking cute as ever, enjoying one of her favorite treats, carrots, go figure, right? Hashtag not a furry, by the way. I liked Carrot because she added a little bit more quirkiness to the crew, more like young, free-spirited adventuring to the crew. I wanted her to join just because, well, it's like a bunch of dudes basically, and I just felt like, you know, with Yamato plus Carrot, at least evens it out rather than just being 2 girls on the crew and then there's calling it out or whatever. That's like, I don't know. I feel like Carrot would have made a nice addition to the crew. She would have fit right in. You know what's crazy though? A lot of people were hating. A lot of people were just like, yeah, Carrot's not joining the crew. Woo, your furry. It's not about being a furry. Oh, what? So now I'm a furry because I like cute bunny girls. Bro, listen, Hugh Hefner was in the Playboy Mansion having bad bunny girls walking around. So don't talk to me as long as I like bunny girls. Now I'm a furry. Get out of here. I'm not listening to that. I'm not. Nah, you know. But yeah, okay. I don't really like it. Mostly because, like, it doesn't feel earned, because Carrot's whole thing was like her wanting to like go out and have an adventure, which she did. She got to see the outside world, so I know she wouldn't have any regrets, right? But it feels kind of forced because she never like saved any minks. She never put the minks on her back, and it was never set up that she would be like a prospective leader, right? If anything, Wanda or Sicilian, however you want to say his name, you know I can't say S's properly, you know, it would make more sense if they became the leaders and stuff like that. And it's not even about a strength thing. It's just they're older, they're like, and they're not even that much older to the point where it's like, oh, we're letting the youth run the world now. It's like they're still young and free-spirited and strong-willed too. So I don't get why all of a sudden it has to be Carrot that has to be the one leading the country. To me, it really does feel like Oda wanted to give a reason why she isn't joining the crew. And it's upsetting me because they have a line where it's like, oh, you carry Pedro's will more than any of us. And I'm like, Pedro's will is that he wanted to see the dawn of the new world. Like, literally, he set out to be an adventurer and ended up being a pirate. And it's like, his whole thing is that he wanted to see the dawn of the new world. And if you have a character like that, and you literally have the people riding on the actual sun, bringing smiles and sunshine and happiness wherever they go, don't you think that'd be part of it? Literally, Pedro died so that the Straw Hats could keep going. You don't think that if that's part of Pedro's will, that he'd want the Straw Hats to like have someone that like helps them out like that? I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. I just feel like it's like Oda didn't want Carrot to be part of the crew, or maybe you just seen that, because didn't she rank like 9th in the world ranking popularity? So it's like, I mean, probably not 9th, but she ranked really high in when they did the popularity poll for the entire world, right? But I could be here all day talking about why I feel like Carrot should be a Straw Hat, right? But yeah, if we move on, right? So Sukiyaki decides to reveal himself. Maybe I guess after his talk with Robin and realizing that, you know, there's another reader of the poneglyphs and, you know, Pluton, all that other stuff, he decided to come clean. He's like, hey, listen, I'm part of the family. I'm your grandfather. You know, don't be mad at me. And they're like, mad at you? We're literally, our parents died. We want as many family members left, right? Like, we're just happy that you're alive, right? And all the retainers know, they're like, oh yeah, you know, no one wears a Tengu mask outside the festival, so we thought that was kind of weird, so we kind of figured it out. And Kinemon in the background's like, that was Sukiyaki? Now, a lot of people thinking this is a comedic moment. No, this is an absolute genius moment. Listen, everyone else had like mad time to think about things, and you know, like, what's his name, the fish guy, Kawamatsu. He was like locked up or whatever, and he had time to sit on things and think about it and reflect. Kinemon has been planning and calculating and thinking about everyone's survival as well as the future of the country. He didn't have time to think about Sukiyaki because Kinemon is a certified genius. He literally masterminded a plan to beat Kaido and raid Onigashima. He's also part of the restoration of Wano. He was literally just in Curry, and yo, he was laying pipe down to his wife. You think he had time to think about, oh, I wonder who's under the Tengu mask? The other brainless people who haven't been thinking about anything else in the world literally are like, oh yeah, obviously. So, Kinemon is a genius. He's been thinking 100 steps ahead of everyone. So you really think you can have time to think about who's under a Tengu mask? Nope. It's because he's too smart. That's why he didn't figure it out. And I like how he's like not even coming up and admitting that or whatever, because he's such a humble guy. He doesn't even need to be like, oh yeah, I'm so stupid, I didn't even think about it. That's why he didn't tell anyone, honestly. But yeah, I think that's like the actual reason, is that Kinemon's just too smart. That's why he didn't figure it out, right? And then right after that, we get a scene where the Straw Hats are all talking amongst themselves, and we find out that Robin does tell them that Pluton is in Wano, and there's a little callback to Frankie, because not gonna lie, Frankie didn't have that much to do in this arc, but I do like the fact that there's Water 7 callbacks, and Frankie actually was like, hey, this thing exists, that's crazy. And then, you know, they asked Luffy, does he want it? Everybody and their mothers, including the Straw Hats, know that Luffy's not going to want an ancient weapon. I mean, you know, it's surprisingly if you would tell him that, like, it's a super cool battleship that's, like, fires amazing cannons and stuff like that. It's basically like a robot pirate ship. You would think that Luffy would want it, though. That's actually like, maybe when he sees it, because they're gonna awaken ancient weapons eventually. You know, maybe when he sees it, he's gonna be like, oh, this is so cool and stuff like that. But you know, for now, he doesn't want it, which is understandable. Next after that is Shinobu and Otama come in, and we see Shinobu looking cute. Now this is funny because I saw a comment saying that the reason that Shinobu's been ugly all this time is not because she's old, but because she got fat. And I was like, you know what? That's a good point, because you have a lot of older women in One Piece. I think, what's her name, Shaki is the best example of that. She's like well into her 50s, maybe in her 60s, and she's still looking good for her age. Now you have someone like Granny Kokoro, who also got older, but she also is kind of a chunky girl too, so you know, I guess we can confirm that Oda's fat phobic this arc, maybe. Oda, I'm on to you. Listen, I'm a big boy myself, but don't worry. Like how Queen said it, if I got too thin, I'd be too popular with the ladies. So, alright. Otama says things like she wants to be a bewitching kunoichi and join Luffy's crew. Same thing she said to Ace. It's not that really big a deal. I did notice some people were saying how there was a panel dedicated to having Nami and Luffy and Otama's like super cute, because she, as you know, because Oda's writing style is always similar to the way he draws the character. She does kind of look like Luffy and Nami if they had a kid together. Me personally, I don't ship them together. I don't really ship Nami with anyone right now. I used to think that Nami and Sanji were gonna get together, but now that Pudding's a character, I've always said Luffy, Hancock, Zoro is gonna just go fuck off and like be on his own with his blades or whatever. Robin is mine, so. And then Sanji has Pudding now. I mean, Sanji could always be the harem king at the end of this and have Nami and Pudding at the same time, because as long as he makes mad money, you know, Nami's not gonna really care, right? But that's that's besides the point, right? While they're also talking, they're just talking out loud. They're like, hey, did you guys know that one of the 3 ancient weapons capable of destroying the world is in Wano right now? And like acting like no one's gonna hear them, which this is a repeat of what happened in Fishman Island, where Caribou learns about another ancient weapon. So now he knows about 2 out of the 3 ancient weapons, and he says, oh, someone's gonna really want to hear about this. It's Blackbeard. There's literally no other characters left. We're at the end of One Piece. In fact, now that we've seen Green Bull, there's only 2 characters left in the entire story that we have yet to see that have been hinted at, right? Which are Im-sama and Vegapunk. Now, I'm not saying that there can't be any new interesting characters introduced, like how Yamato came out of nowhere. It's not like Yamato had any build-up. It was literally like one chapter said, hey, I have a son Yamato, and like 2 chapters later we see Yamato. I'm not saying that can't happen. Same thing with like Katakuri or whatever. I'm just saying that 2 characters that have been, because like before it was Green Bull, now we've seen Green Bull, so there's literally only 2 characters left in the entire story. Now I don't know if Caribou has been secretly pulling the strings in the underworld this entire time and he's been working for both sides, but I doubt he has any connections to Im. and I doubt we're gonna see any other characters from like the underworld or whatever. We might not. Morgan's too. I don't think he's gonna tell Morgan's about it or whatever. Just, I mean, you might secure the bag off of it, but it just doesn't seem that like beneficial for Caribou if Morgan's no. So it's gotta be Blackbeard. So like I said, like unless there's like one more other character, who knows? Maybe it's the man marked with flames. Oh, we'll get on that. We'll get on that, right? But yeah, Caribou. He's probably gonna be a continuing running gag. Oda hasn't killed him. He's probably going to get off Wano his own way. He's probably going to be in the final arc. He didn't really help out in Wano. So, at this point, he's just a running gag because Buggy isn't in the story as the running gag anymore because Buggy is, you know, God or whatever, right? So, this is like, okay. Moments like these right here are the exact reason I wanted to be a YouTuber. It's because when I have observations like this, I genuinely hate the fact that I'm the only person who notices these things. Even like I watched other YouTubers today and no one's bringing this up. And literally, even when I go on like message boards and like Reddit or like Facebook or whatever, it's like I could write all of this out, but people aren't gonna understand unless I have some weight to my name. And it's observations like this is really why I want to be an active YouTuber, right? So we get a moment where Momo's walking into the castle and everyone's greeting Momo, like all the waitresses and maids and all that stuff. They're like, oh, Shogun, Shogun, nice to see you, Momonosuke Shogun, whatever, right? And, you know, they're showing him respect or whatever, as a typical royalty would. And then he looks out the window and he sees children playing. And right after that, he runs into the room, into a room looking for Zoro. And he's like, oh, Zoro, come train with me. Teach me how to use swords again. And the Straw Hats aren't there, so he's looking for them. And then they find out, Hiyori tells them, like, they left. Like, they said bye to everyone this morning, right? Now, here's why this is important. This is important because it shows Momo's desires to still be a kid. I watch a lot of YouTubers and they're just like, they kind of just gloss over this, right? Which is not, you know, I'm not expecting you to understand every single thing. Like, the chapter literally came out this morning. I'm not expecting you to understand everything and, like, you know, deep dive instantly with it, but it's just like, I want to be one of the first people to point it out. Momo still wants to be a kid. Matter of fact, he still is a kid. He's 8 years old. He just has the body of a 20-year-old. That sounds kind of wrong. Luckily, we're talking about a guy, right? Because that could be interpreted wrong if you ask someone else, right? But he's literally a kid. When he ran to the Straw Hats, it's not because like he wanted to train with Zoro or whatever, or he just wanted to, you know, see them before they left. He does want to see them. He does care about them, but the Straw Hats are the only people who don't care about Momo's status. They didn't care about it when he was a kid. They didn't care about it when they found out that he was royalty. And they certainly don't care about it now that he's a 20-year-old. And he doesn't walk around like asking them to like respect him or whatever, because he tried that once. And they're like, I don't care who you are. You're still a little brat to me. Like, whatever. So the Straw Hats are the only people in the world right now that are gonna look at Kozuki Momonosuke as the 8-year-old kid that he actually is. Even the Scabbards, you know, they understand he's a kid, so they're not gonna just start like treating him like an adult, but they also understand that he's their superior, and he's the son of their idol, so they're gonna do everything in their power to make him feel like he is their superior, basically. Like I don't really know how to say it like about that, but like, you know, and that's like the bond that he has with the Straw Hats right now. That's why he looks at them, because like they're the only people in the world that are gonna still look at him like a little brat. Even technically Yamato, like she's gonna just look at him like mini Odin. She's like, I'm big Odin, you're little Odin, right? And so interesting is because Kinemon also is looking for the Straw Hats, and then they find out that Momo and him, they didn't get said bye to. Literally everyone else, like Kinemon said that Denjiro was able to say bye to them, and Hiyori was able to say bye to them, but for some reason the Straw Hats didn't say bye to Kinemon or Momonosuke, right? Now, a lot of people were like, that's not in character with the Straw Hats or whatever. Why would they leave without saying bye? They haven't left the island yet. If they were sailing away, the scene with Momo and Kinemon and the scene at the end with Yamato wouldn't make sense, I guess, or whatever. I guess it would be kind of similar to like Enies Lobby when they left Usopp or whatever, or when or Alabasta when they left without Vivi, right? But even in those situations, even though they were at the port, they waited for Vivi before they left, and Vivi said, "I'm not coming with you guys. Just go on ahead without me." And they, even when they could have left in Enies Lobby, not any, technically Water 7, right? But post Enies Lobby, they didn't just leave without Usopp. They were off the coast, but they were still waiting to see if they had to get out of here, right? Now, a lot of people might forget this, but Kinemon and Momonosuke were there at the beginning of the saga. They have sailed with the crew the longest, and they have the most bonds with them. Even if you wanted to say someone like, because they met Kinemon and Momonosuke in Punk Hazard, and then they met Kanjuro right after. Excuse me. And they met Kanjuro right after, and went to Zoe and stuff like that. And they said they technically sailed with Kanjuro too, but one, Kanjuro's a traitor, right? Two, even then, like once they started getting to Dressrosa and Zoe, like they didn't, even though they kind of, I mean, they didn't really, Luffy never really sailed with Raizo, right? They were so wrapped up in the Kozuki stuff and the Wano stuff that they didn't really build a bond with what's his name? Right, not Raizo, Kanjuro, right? They didn't build a bond with him at all, but they actually built, like, remember at one point we really thought that Kinemon was Momonosuke's father. They sailed with them, they had like their little moments and stuff like that. So they like, and if it wasn't for that fateful meeting on Punk Hazard, because they weren't even gonna go to Punk Hazard, they were gonna go to Raijin Island. So it's literally like a whole mix of everything, just coincidences happening on top of each other. Plus them, they would have always went to Wano without Law. Law helped out, but like once they met Kinemon and Momonosuke, they were always gonna go to Wano and help them out, right? And if anything, Law's lucky he was on Punk Hazard when the Straw Hats were on Punk Hazard, right? So I think before they leave, they're gonna have their tearful reunion, farewells with Kinemon and Momonosuke, and I think that's like really, really important. Now, right after that, we see that the Straw Hats are on the port trying to leave. They're planning they're leaving, and we see that Law and Kid are also leaving the exact same day as them. I don't know how they ended up all deciding to leave on this day particular, but they start getting into an argument. It feels so weird to me, because I legit thought that Law was joining the crew for the longest. Towards the end of Wano, I realized that he's not, but I legit thought that Law was joining the crew. And the reason why I thought Law was joining the crew is because it didn't make sense to me how they're gonna just all know about the road poneglyphs, and they're all just gonna be like, okay, well, Law, you know everything about us, and you sailed with us, and you know we've been allies, and you're just gonna leave like that, like bye. But no, Law, and this is one of the reasons why Law has become one of my least favorite characters, because he's become so edgy and so I hate everything and I hate everyone and no one's my friend. I don't like that about Law. When I first met Law in Sabri Archipelago, he was always smiling, you know, he was sticking up the middle finger, he was kind of seeming like he was like, you know, calm and collected, like kind of like a jokester and stuff like that. And then there's a time skip, he's just like, oh, I hate everyone, I don't like any of you guys are such idiots or whatever. Like he just, I don't know, before pre-time skip, Law seemed like he was an actually pretty chill guy. Now he's just kind of, I don't know, edgy. So even now, like after all is said and done with the alliance, he's like, yo, Luffy, like this alliance is over, like I'm leaving, bye. Like don't even say a thank you or whatever, or like dap him up or something. Like you don't even, like, you're really acting like we haven't spent like 10 years with Luffy and Law and an alliance. Like now it's just like, yeah, whatever, I don't even really care about them, right? And so they all decided to leave. Luffy's island is actually the furthest east, so they look at the log poles and they're like, there's 3 islands ahead of us, right? Which is, that's how the New World log poles works, right? So you have the northeast island, you have the east island, and you have the southeast island, right? And they all pick an island. Luffy and Kid pick the same island because it's right in the middle. Kid picks the island closest to actually heading towards the end of the New World, and then Luffy loses the drawing to pick who's gonna get to the furthest island away. And we don't know what the name of the island is. I was thinking, I'm like, okay, so we know that this is like the first. This is technically, this will be the first island, if they actually, like, Oda covers it, right? If this will be the first island the Straw Hats go to that hasn't been predestined, right? Like, it's just a random island that they're sailing to. Because when we first did that in the Grand Line, right? The first island they technically just sailed to was Little Garden. Right, like when they were just following their log poles, because Punk Hazard wasn't on the log poles. The magnetic field got completely destroyed thanks to Aokiji and Akiyuna's battle. Then they used an internal pose to get to Dressrosa, and they used they used, I believe, Beppel's Vivre card to get to Zoe. Right, then after that, eternal pose to get to Whole Cake Island, I guess, or whatever, or Vivre card. I don't know how they got to Whole Cake Island. I think it was probably a Vivre card or an eternal pose, right? And the same thing with Wano. They just used an eternal pose to get to Wano, right? So whatever island is southeast of Wano is literally going to be the first island in like the last 10 years that has been a it's been over 15 years, because the last island that they sailed to that was like predetermined for them, like, it has to be Sabri Archipelago. And that's because, like, right after they got to the Red Line. No, I think it's okay. After Thriller Bark, which didn't have a magnetic field, I believe, because, like, it got removed once the Gekko Moria removed the island himself, right? So after they got to the Red Line, they meet up with what's his name, Duval. This is like a super tangent. Like, I'm sorry, I'm getting off on like a super tangent, but this stuff is important, right? They get to the Red Line, and the island closest to the Red Line is Sabri Archipelago, because that's like the breaking point right before you get to Fishman Island. Because even then, the Sabri Archipelago, was it pointed to in the log post? Because Nami's log post was pointing at Fishman Island, which was pointing straight down. So yo, this is probably like up until like Water 7. This is like they haven't been following the log post since Water 7, like just the regular log post. So this is like unless the log post, because I don't know if Duval guided them to Sabri Archipelago to get their ship code. I believe that's what happened. So literally in like 15 years we have not followed the log post. And I believe the next island we go to won't be some like long formatted adventure, right? Like, I don't believe that they're just gonna land on water, like how they landed on Water 7 and they had a whole, let's say, because it's not Raijin Island, because Raijin Island is one of the first islands you get to in the New World, right? And we see that Wano is relatively close to the Calm Belt, right? Let's just say this island is Mushroom Island. That's the island that the Straw Hats are sailing to, right? I really doubt we're going to get a Mushroom Island arc. I don't see it happening. If anything, the Straw Hats are probably going to land there, and maybe they're going to have a meeting with someone, like, someone important to the story. Like, I doubt it's going to be Shanks, right? But something's going to deter them to either go to Elbaf or help out with Sabo or something. But I can see us like actually landing here, because, like, you know, Oda might make a comment like, wow, this is the first island we've landed to in a long time. However, I don't see them like staying here for like more than 5 chapters, right? But this is, like I said, this would be like the first island in the New World the Straw Hats have sailed to just naturally following their log pose. And that's like super crazy to think about. Like, even in like the Grand Line, we haven't gotten any of that stuff, right? The one thing we get a comment on is that, I thought this was super funny, is how Luffy was starting to play a rank, which we've never seen this before. Luffy's like, I'm an emperor, how am I supposed to be losing the drawing lots? And literally everyone else is like, yo, we don't care, Luffy, start packing our stuff, we gotta get off this island right now, right? And I love the fact that Luffy's acknowledging that he's an emperor, and you know, Kid hating, he's like, emperor, y'all mad cocky, yo, I don't even like none of y'all emperors, right? But yo, you know what, you don't even piss me off the most. You know what pisses me off? This guy right here, Buggy. Buggy. And then we see that Buggy, the reason he's a Yonko now is because he's got Crocodile and Mihawk, which Mihawk was always speculated to join his crew for like a long time, right? And once the Warlords got abolished, people were like, Mihawk's either going to one of two places. He's either going to Shanks' crew or he's going to Buggy's crew. I personally thought Mihawk was going to join Shanks' crew, not as like a subordinate, just like he's tagging along, because I had a theory that Zoro was going to join not Zoro. Mihawk was gonna join the crew, and then they were gonna be at Elbaf, and that's gonna be like that's gonna be like a reason for Zoro being able to interact with Mihawk, and they have their final fight. That's neither here nor there. I'm so glad to see that Crocodile's back in the story. Crocodile's never been like a fan favorite of mine, but I was literally watching like a clip yesterday of like Crocodile interacting with Robin in One Piece Stampede and stuff like that. So I'm glad to see Crocodile back in the story, because we've been speculating so long, like, how is Crocodile gonna get back in the story? Is he gonna be a friend or is he gonna be a foe again? Most likely Crocodile and Luffy are gonna be fighting on the same sides again. I can't see Luffy fighting Buggy, because that's just a losing battle. Like, you can't beat God, right? Final parts of the chapter. This is something that I'm not gonna. This video is going on pretty long already. We're about a good 30 minutes into this, and I don't want to be on this part too long. But this part is also another reason why I wanted to be a YouTuber, because this is super important. Not as important stuff in the beginning. I guess I'm hyping it up a little too much, right? But Law gives Kid a rubbing of the poneglyph, right? And he's like, here, you earned it. You know, we all get our piece of, you know, the pie. You beat a Yonko too. I'm not out. I'd feel cheap basically if I just ran off with the road poneglyph, knowing that you helped out, or whatever Law says, right? And then Killer says, hey, this is a rubbing of the we finally have another piece of the road poneglyph, which this puts Kid at 2 out of 4, and Law and Luffy both have 3 out of 4. Now, obviously, they're not gonna just divulge the information that that the third one is on Zoe. Who knows if they'll ever find that third one. I don't see Kid having a super big role, but the Kid says a little bit, but he gives a lot in this, right? So he says two things. I'm not sure if Killer says this. I think he says Killer's like, hey, this is like another piece of road poneglyph, just like the other piece that we forced that sweet commander to give us from Big Mom's crew, right? Which is important, right? And the Kid is like, he says something along the lines of like, they have to, I think Killer asks him a question, and then Kid's like, are you talking about the man marked with flames? We still don't know anything about him yet. It's too soon to go after him, right? And this is super important, right? Because we knew before that Kid did go into Big Mom's territory. He was trying to get something. Now, obviously, he wasn't gonna just be like, hey, I was trying to get the road poneglyph. It's one of the 4 pieces that you need to actually find her after. He didn't tell us at that point, but now that it's like open information, he's just like, yeah, that's what we're in Big Mom's territory for. So now we have more pieces of the puzzle, right? So here's what's interesting, right? Because Luffy and Law both did not know about the existence of road poneglyphs, right, until they got to Zoe, and it was explained to them by people who sailed with Roger, right? How do Kid and Killer know about the road poneglyphs? That is a big deal, because it's never been confirmed where you get the information, but the information about the road poneglyphs most likely come from Lodestar. Now, we know that Kaido knows about them, and we know that Big Mom knows about them. It doesn't seem like, because the question's always been like, if Rafto's the final island in the New World, then like, what's stopping the Marines from sailing there? What's stopping Kaido from sailing there? We're stopping Big Mom from sailing. That's always been the question for a while once we found out there are other powerful crews in the world. And the answer is basically that because Rafto isn't the final island in the New World. The final island in the New World is Lodestar. So, you could always ask the question that once Kaido or Big Mom found out about the information, why didn't they just burn it to the ground to stop other people from finding out the information? That question might get answered when we get to Lodestar. It might be that you can't burn down Lodestar or whatever. It might be like some mystical island that's just like, people have sailed to, but, just can't burn it down for some reason. Who knows? Maybe it's made out of sea prism stone or something like that. I doubt it or whatever. But there might be a reason. So it's possible that during the 2 years, Kid did sail to Lodestar, and he has been looking for the poneglyph. And it might be that might be the reason why he's been like he has such a vendetta against Shanks. Maybe he figured that Shanks is like one of the people who knows where like the final road poneglyph is at or whatever, because maybe it's like open information that him and Shanks sailed on Roger's crew. So he's like, hey, if you sailed on Roger's crew, you most likely know where this road poneglyph is at or whatever. So that's like at least that's what I've been thinking of. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I can't think of any other reason. I think that and here's the reason why I think that Kid did sail to Lodestar is because the comment of the man marked with flame. Where did that doesn't sound like something Kid would just like say, or something that he like heard from someone. My theory so far right now is that at I'm making a lot of mistakes right now. That's how you know this review is going on too long. At Lodestar, there has to be someone or something there, and there has to be a prophecy there. There has to be a prophecy telling about like the future of the One Piece, right? And one of the things in the prophecy is something about a man marked with flames, right? And the translation editor's note was like, hey, this is like the way it's phrased, it's talking about like a scar. We know Sabo has a scar on his face, right? And specifically, it highlights like three people. Highlights when Kid brings this up, it highlights Law, it highlights Robin, and it highlights Luffy. And like Kid kind of teases Luffy like, oh, we know something you don't, ha 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 ha, right? And the fact that it highlighted Robin, I don't know why it highlighted Law, but the fact that I believe it's Sabo. They're talking about Sabo, and we know that as he's the Flame Emperor right now, things are kind of like picking up and starting to revolve around both him and Luffy. So we'll see, but they're definitely talking about Sabo in this one. And then finally, we get a moment where Kinemon and Momo are still looking for everyone, and they find out that Yamato's on the roof, and she's like, I made my decision, I'm joining the crew. Finally, we're getting it. Mommy Yamato's joining the crew, confirmed. We're most likely going to get it next chapter. Next chapter, I could see it. Momo's probably going to just turn into a dragon and just sail to the port, and they're gonna have their whole reunion. But I'll talk about all that stuff next week. But this has been the One Piece 1056 review. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know at the end I kind of just dragged it on or whatever. I guess I'll probably try to work on having shorter reviews or whatever, just so I don't get too exhausted trying to just like blah blah blah, just like going on so many tangents. But if you guys like this type of content, make sure you follow me for more. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you guys click that notification bell, and please leave a comment if you feel like I missed out on anything, or I got any interpretations wrong, or you feel like I'm just completely wrong or whatever, you know. Anyway, it's been the Late Developers. We'll be coming out with more streaming content soon. I'm really enjoying that Ninja Turtles game that we're playing, so we'll definitely be playing a lot more of that, me and Justin, and we'll be dropping more videos soon for you guys. Right now I just like doing the chapter reviews, but I'm not a One Piece YouTuber, so don't box me in on that and stuff like that. Alright, I'm just messing with you guys, you know. You want to call me whatever. One Piece is my favorite anime of all time, so we'll be talking about One Piece. So see you guys later. Take care. All right.